Okay, this video is going to be a lot different than my normal type of video. But as you probably know by now, a big part of what I believe is the mindset is really, really important when it comes to not only getting in shape and living a healthier lifestyle and all that stuff that comes with it, but it's just really important for life in general and living a happy, healthy life. And it's been a couple weeks now since my grandfather passed away, and I've been kind of debating about doing this video because honestly it was kind of like a life-changing weekend for me. I really took away a lot of valuable perspective from it, and I just wanted to take some time to kind of share with you some of my thoughts and feelings regarding this and what happened and what I was presented with, and hopefully maybe somewhere it'll help you. If it's not your jam, I get it, but I think that this could be a powerful life lesson if you'll stick with me. Now, I had actually done a quick video literally the day that my grandfather passed away on IGTV and Facebook about like how strong of a man he was and what type of a influence he was and how we need to all strive to be more like him. And I'm not just going to talk about my grandfather in general, but really the big takeaway I got from this entire weekend was really the whole World War II generation itself and like how strong and amazing this generation really was. And you know, there's not a lot of them left anymore, and man, we really need to value what they bring to us because they really have all the best perspective we could ever possibly look for. When I look back on my grandfather's life, he was an incredible inspiration. He was one of the strongest, if not the strongest person that I have ever known, and he has battled through so much, and he ended up living 90 years before he passed away, and he used up every one of his 9 lives. He actually beat cancer 9 different times. And actually what's kind of ironic is he didn't get taken by cancer. It was eventually his heart that went. But not only did he have all that cancer, but he also had his bladder removed, and he literally had to walk around with a sack for like the last, I don't even know, 10 plus years of his life. He had to deal with this thing. He had a pacemaker and a defibrillator inserted into his chest, and he just had so many problems all the time with his health. But you know what? The man never complained. You never heard this man complain about anything. He never asked, like, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why is life so unfair? He never went through that. You never even heard the man complain about the weather. He just went about his life doing what he could, and he controlled what he could control, and he just took life by the horns and just handled whatever was given to him. He was so strong. And this is something that we talked about a lot as a family, and that is the whole World War II generation and how strong they were and what they kind of brought to the table and what their mindset was like. And you know, like one of the big things that my grandfather and this entire generation always showed over and over again was when they had a duty to do, by God, they did it. Come hell or high water, it didn't matter what it took, they were gonna do what they set out to do, and nothing would ever stop them. And this was even brought to point at my grandfather's memorial service. And what happened here was really pretty inspirational, and it was something that was literally the talk of the entire family for like the next day. Everyone kept bringing this up, and it really goes to show exactly what I'm about to say. I wasn't really sure personally like what the kind of etiquette was at a funeral, like about taking pictures and videos and stuff like that. I did end up snapping a picture of my grandfather getting the flag because I just really wanted to have that. I thought that would be a cool memory. Thankfully, one of my cousins actually took video of the whole thing, and I'm so glad that he did because I'm so thankful that I have this footage. And during this, there was a really old vet, and his duty was to get that flag to my grandmother. That was his responsibility. The man could barely even move. He could barely stay upright, and he was going uphill on a bumpy grassy surface, and he was kind of like teetering back and forth and having a hard time keeping his ground. But he was going to get that flag to my grandmother come hell or high water. There was not going to be any stopping this man. He was going to do his duty no matter what it took. And he made his way up, and he made his way up, and he caught himself when he got there, and he got the flag, and he slowly made his way to my grandmother, gave her the flag, and he fulfilled his duty. And that's what that generation did. They did what they were supposed to do. They didn't complain about it. They just did what they had to do to get it done. They were all about support and building up a community. And that's what most of them did when they came back from the war, is they were all about building up a community and starting family and all these great things that we don't really think of anymore. I mean, if you think about any generation that had all the right in the world to complain about everything, it was this generation. I mean, basically all of them grew up, most of their entire adolescence was brought up through the Great Depression. They never even knew when their next meal was gonna come or if it was gonna come. Then they got through the Great Depression and what happens? They get sent off to war. And in some cases, like my grandfather, literally in hand-to-hand combat, and sometimes had to do that hard thing where you either kill or get killed. They saw their friends get killed. They had a horrible, very tough life. But they came back and they just wanted to start families and start a community and build from there. And you never heard them complain about it. You never heard them whine about their lives. You never saw them do anything other than their responsibility in doing what they set out to do. And this was my grandfather through and through. Everything he did to its fullest. No matter what chore it was, no matter what responsibility he had, he was going to give everything he had, and he was going to make sure it was done, and he was going to make sure it was done right, and he wasn't going to complain, and he was just going to see it through. And this is something we need to pay attention to. We need to have this type of attitude. All the complaining we do, and I'm not saying that I am not guilty of this, right? I try not to complain because I know it doesn't really bring any value, but I cannot say that I am perfect with this. But we need to get away from all the complaining. Honestly, when it comes to like an actual lifestyle, we have it about as easy as it's ever been in the entire history of time. I mean, food is readily available. If you really want a job, you can get something if you need to, right? Like, we have so much convenience and so much technology, and everything is so much simpler than it used to be, but we get so caught up in trying to be busy, usually being busy with things that really aren't that important in the grand scheme of things. Half the time we end up sabotaging our long-term goals because we get so caught up just pointing out these meaningless fires all the time that we completely lose perspective of what's really important in our life. And the complaining just takes us away. It doesn't give us any value. It doesn't serve any purpose at all. None. It doesn't even matter what happened. The answer to moving forward and succeeding in anything in life, no matter what is thrown your way, and no matter how much it wasn't your fault, or how much anybody else was to blame, or how much you have an unfortunate circumstance in your life, the answer is always, what are you going to do about it? Okay, this happened. What am I going to do about it? Is it in my control? Can I do anything about it? If the answer is no, then let it go. It is serving you no purpose to complain about it. And if it is something you can control, don't complain about it, do something about it. You're in control of your life. Let's go. Let's get it together, and let's take control, and let's set out and let's do our duty. Whatever it is we're trying to do, we need to do just like that generation did, the greatest generation, and they were called that for good reason. We need to go after it and do our duty no matter what it takes. It is our responsibility to go after what we want and to go through and see it through no matter what, no matter how hard it is, we're gonna see it through, and that's gonna make you feel amazing. That feels so much better than being like, well, it was too hard, so I just couldn't do it, and then you end up regretting it later. No, don't live your life with regrets. You will always regret giving up on something that's important to you because it got hard. Don't do that. See it through. Doesn't matter if it takes months. It doesn't matter if it takes years or decades. Keep going. The longer it takes, the harder it is. The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. This is what changes you from the inside. This is what makes everything better. This is what makes you a different person. It's sticking through. It's not getting in better shape. It's not losing your fat from your stomach. It's not creating a six-pack. It's not any type of fitness goal, any end goal that you can have. That doesn't change you. That doesn't make you happy. You might think it makes you happy, but it doesn't. Right? You might enjoy it. You will enjoy it for a moment, a day, a week, if you're extremely lucky, a couple weeks, but it will fade, and then you're left with what's next. The thing that you hold on to is, I didn't give up when everything in me told me that I should. I didn't give up when all the circumstances were against me. When every single thing that could possibly happen was being thrown at me from the universe, I kept pushing forward, and that made me proud. That made me happy. That built confidence and empowerment that you never dreamed of. And if you start to accomplish things that you never thought were possible, that will change you from the inside out. But that only happens if you follow through and you keep going, no matter how hard it is. Don't complain about it. Don't complain about what life throws at you. Don't play the victim. Even if you are the victim, do not play the victim. It serves no purpose, because the only thing it does is give you a reason why you can't do it. And there's always a way to do it. Your obstacles are just obstacles. They are not end games. When there's an obstacle, you can either go around it, you can go over it, hell, you can go through it. But you don't let it stop you just because it's more challenging. And this is what my grandfather passed down to me without even knowing it, without ever even telling me any of these things. He just led by example, and it's my duty to now carry that forward, to carry his legacy forward and show everyone what can be done if we just keep a positive attitude and we just do what we're supposed to do, and we do our duty, and we don't complain, and we just follow through with whatever we said we would do. Do what you said you would do, and you will always get what you set out for in the beginning. Might take longer than you want, but it'll make it that much sweeter when you finally get there. So I want to know, will you join me today? Will you let the old person go? Will you let the person go who quits whenever it gets tough, when you start to lose motivation? Will you join me in pushing forward no matter what, and showing the world what can be done with a crap load of resilience? Make yourself proud. You deserve it. Thank you, Grandpa. I love you.